Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into Global Health Limited. You probably know them better as Medanta.
Right. Yeah, the big private hospital chain. Mostly North and East India, isn't it?
Exactly. And we've got this research report here from V. Spartans Consultants. It's pretty recent, dated September 29th, 2024.
Okay, V Spartans. Got it. So what's the plan?
Well, our mission really is to sift through all the details, the financial stuff, and pull out the key insights. What's Medanta's deal right now, and where might they be heading?
Sounds good. Basically, a quick but thorough look for anyone wanting to get up to speed on a major player in India's healthcare scene.
Precisely. No jargon, just the important bits. And this report, well, it gives a really interesting snapshot, I think.
Yeah, it looks like a good overview of their operations and sort of the bigger picture of Indian healthcare, too. It's a dynamic area, that's for sure.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Medanta. Founded back in 2009, based in Gurugram, part of Delhi NCR.
Right. And they've grown pretty fast to become one of the biggest private chains in their region.
Yeah, definitely not small scale. We're talking a whole network of hospitals, clinics, offering, well, a really wide range of services.
And the report seems to stress their reputation. High quality care, patient safety, satisfaction, that sort of thing.
It does. And in healthcare, that trust factor, that quality reputation, it's got to be foundational, right? For sticking around long term.
Absolute crucial. You can't really scale without it. So what about the people involved?
Yeah, the scale is impressive there too. Over 1,750 full-time doctors, more than 6,300 nurses.
Wow.
And the total employee count, including retainers, is over 10,500 people. That's a lot of staff.
That's a significant workforce.
And here's a little detail. They highlighted half their workforce is female.
Oh, really? 50%?
Yeah, and that includes 633 female doctors specifically.
That's definitely noteworthy. Shows a focus on diversity, inclusivity.
Seems like it. And beyond the numbers, the report talks about the breadth of care, all the different specialties.
Right, like cardiology, oncology, neurology, orthopedics. The list goes on, right? Gastroenterology, pediatrics.
Yeah, and the report even says, and more, kind of hinting there's even wider stuff they cover, makes them seem like a one-stop shop, almost.
A comprehensive provider, yeah, which is probably a big draw for patients.
And it gets interesting when you look at how they operate. It's not just about having hospitals, it's about them being state-of-the-art, cutting-edge tech.
That makes sense. Plus, they're apparently involved in research, innovation.
Yeah, and international collaborations, too. Trying to stay ahead of the curve, it seems.
Well, that forward-thinking approach, investing in tech and research, that's probably vital for attracting, the best doctors and nurses.
And patients looking for top-tier care, presumably.
Exactly. So this advanced infrastructure, where is it actually located? The report breaks that down, right?
It does. They've got 5 main multi-specialty hospitals operating now, another one being built, plus 6 clinics.
And these are spread across a few cities. Gurgaon, Lucknow.
Gurgaon, Lucknow, Patna, Indore, and Ranchi. That's their current footprint. Gives them that strong regional base in the north and east.
And they're expanding capacity within that footprint.
Oh yeah, big time. Right now, they're around 2,890 beds.
Okay.
But they're aiming for over 3,350 by the end of FY25.
That's a pretty chunky increase in just a year or so.
It is. And they have, over 80 operating theaters, more than 660 ICU beds. It just gives you a sense of the scale.
Definitely. Across 30-plus specialties, you said.
Yep. And it's all housed within 4.7 million square feet of built-up space. Plus, they apparently have land ready for even more expansion down the line.
So this regional presence and the expansion plans, that seems to be the core strategy. Let's maybe look at the specific locations. Gurgaon first.
Right, Gurgaon, that's their flagship. The report calls it the largest private hospital in the whole Delhi NCR.
Wow. How many beds there?
1,440 beds, and 271 of those are ICU. That really anchors them in that key metro area.
Definitely a dominant position. What about Lucknow?
Lucknow's interesting. Currently 699 beds, but they're shooting for 950.
Okay, significant growth there, too.
And they've hit some clinical milestones there recently, like their 50th liver transplant first in central and eastern UP, apparently.
That's a big deal for regional access to complex procedures.
And 100 of those IV thrombolysis thrombectomy procedures for stroke, just in Q1 of FY25.
So high volume of critical care.
Seems like it. Plus, they added nearly 100 beds there back in March, and another 47 or so planned this fiscal year.
So strong focus on growing in these tier 2 cities as well, not just the big metros.
Looks that way. Then there's Patana, 376 beds currently, expanding towards 650.
Okay.
And they're adding specific capacity there too, dialysis beds, more ICU beds, chemo beds.
Again, focusing on critical care needs in that region. Makes sense.
Indore has 175 beds with plans for more. Ranchi has 200. But the really big expansion news is maybe Noida.
Ah, yes, the new hospital construction. How big is that one planned to be?
550 beds total. They're hoping to get the first 300 operational by, say, Q4 FY25 or maybe early Q1 FY26.
That's a major addition, especially strengthening their position in the Delhi NCR market, right?
Absolutely. And linking into that, there's this partnership they have with DLF
Oh, yeah. For what?
for a new 400-bed super specialty hospital right in South Delhi.
Ah, so that strategically connects their Gurgaon and Noida facilities, kind of bridges the gap.
Exactly. Offering like over 20 specialties, including cancer care. It's still pending approvals, but it shows a clear plan to build a network across that whole NCR zone.
That's smart. A cohesive network in a key economic region. What about beyond NCR?
Well, this is maybe the biggest indicator of wider ambition they're moving into Mumbai.
Mumbai. Wow, okay. That's a new market for them.
Totally new. They're setting up a 500-plus bed super specialty hospital in Oshiwara.
Have they got the land and everything?
Yep, secured the land from MHAD. It's a big investment, too. The report mentions around 1,200 crores for the project cost.
That's a serious commitment. 1,200 crores. Moving into Mumbai definitely signals maybe a pan-India ambition eventually.
Could be. And it's not just new locations. Even back at the Gurgaon flagship, they're expanding within it.
How so?
They're building a whole new state-of-the-art IPD, an inpatient department, just for women and infants.
Oh, interesting. Specialized care.
Yeah, 50 beds, including a high-level NICU level 4, apparently dedicated operating theater, fancy labor rooms, breastfeeding support, the works.
So even within their established base, they're targeting specific, high-demand, specialized services. That's quite strategic.
So if you pull back and look at the strategy, what does it look like to you? It seems like, well, obviously, adding beds, lots of beds.
Yeah, bed expansion is clearly number one, both in existing places and new cities like Mumbai and Noida.
And then getting the best doctors and nurses, that seems key.
Attracting top clinical talent, definitely. And enhancing their medical capabilities overall, making things run smoother, more efficiently.
Right, operational efficiencies. And leveraging technology, digital health stuff too.
Yeah, that multi-pronged approach. More beds, better talent, improved capabilities, and using tech. It seems like a solid recipe for, sustainable growth.
Especially in a market like healthcare that's changing so fast.
Exactly. And behind a lot of this, you have to assume, is the leadership, Dr. Naresh Trehan.
Yes, the chairman and managing director. He's a big name, isn't he? A pioneering cardiac surgeon.
Hugely respected. Known globally, really. Expertise in really complex stuff, heart transplants, bypasses.
He actually got this award, 7 Legends in Heart Surgery.
Wow. And he founded Medanta with this vision, right? To create a world-class hospital in India.
Seems like it. And he's apparently involved beyond just running the company, medical education, mentoring, public health work.
So his expertise and that founding vision, they're clearly central to Medanta's whole identity and growth story.
You'd think so. His leadership likely drives that focus on clinical excellence we were talking about.
And speaking of clinical excellence, the report actually gives some concrete examples from Q1 of FY25, recent stuff.
Right, like those milestones in Lucknow, the 50th liver transplant, the 100 stroke procedures. That's impressive for regional access.
Definitely. And in Gurgaon.
They mentioned using SBRT, that's a type of focused radiation for complex cancer cases like colorectal cancer that spread to the liver.
Okay, advanced oncology treatments.
And they have a patented device for brachytherapy for cervical cancer called Maywolo.
A patented device.
Yeah.
That shows real innovation.
Yeah. Plus, they're doing thousands of advanced eye surgeries, cataracts, presbyopia correction, and diagnosing really complex heart conditions using genetic testing for kids' lung diseases.
Okay, so these aren't just run-of-the-mill procedures. It really underlines their capability in handling complex, specialized cases, pushing the boundaries a bit.
And that level of expertise, that reputation, it must attract patients from, well, everywhere.
And that's the logical next step, isn't it? Not just local patients, but national, even international.
The numbers are pretty striking. Over 2 million patients treated annually.
2 million. Wow.
And over 100,000 procedures per year. The report calls them a last stop for healthcare for many people.
A last stop. That implies they handle the really tough cases others can't.
Seems like it. And get this, they serve patients from over 130 countries.
130 countries? That's a massive global reach. Really highlights India's rise in medical tourism.
Definitely. And that ties into the whole context of healthcare spending in India, doesn't it?
It does. India's overall healthcare spending as a slice of GDP is, well, historically quite low compared to many developed nations, especially those with universal systems like the US or Germany.
Right. But the report notes that government spending has been increasing.
Yeah, government healthcare expenditure, GHE, went from about 28.6% of total health spend in FY14 to over 40% by FY19. So upward trend.
But still, maybe not enough for all the advanced tertiary care needs.
Probably not entirely, and that's where the private sector, like Medanta, really steps in. We're seeing more private investment, especially, interestingly, in non-metro areas.
And there are government schemes too, right? Like the National Health Mission, NHM.
Yes, NHM got a significant budget allocation. And PMSSY, which focuses on building up AIMS-like institutions, those also shape the landscape.
So putting it all together, what's actually driving the growth in the Indian healthcare industry? There seem to be a few key things.
Yeah, it's like a convergence of factors. You've got rising spending, both government and private. That's fundamental.
Okay. And the government pushing for better access, affordability?
Right. Plus, simple demographics and awareness, more urbanization, people are more health conscious, seeking regular checkups, demanding better care.
And the medical tourism boom we touched on, that's projected to be huge, right? USD 13.4 billion by 2026?
Exactly. India is attractive because of lower costs compared to the West, but with increasingly advanced facilities like Medanta's.
Yeah, 6.1 million medical tourists in 2023, potentially 7.3 million this year. It's growing fast.
And then there's technology. That's a massive catalyst.
How so?
Well, things like the Ayushman Bharat digital mission, creating digital health records. Co-Win, Aroja Sit2 apps we saw. E-pharmacies are taking off projected 70 million users soon.
Right. Telemedicine is becoming more common, too. AI in diagnostics.
Exactly. Mobile apps for health monitoring. It's all making healthcare more accessible, more efficient, hopefully more affordable, too.
And new types of services are popping up, like home care.
Yeah, home care and elder care, driven by, the aging population and rising incomes, allowing people to afford these services.
And labs, diagnostics, preventive stuff.
Big growth there, too. People want home sample collection, vaccinations, annual checkups, partly because of rising awareness about lifestyle diseases.
Okay, so if that's what's driving growth, what's the overall outlook for the industry? The report gives a forecast.
It does. They're expecting a CAGR, compound annual growth rate, of around 10 to 12% over the next 5 years.
10, 12%. That's pretty healthy growth.
Very healthy. And the private sector share is expected to grow even more, from maybe 69% in 2023 to around 73% by 2027.
So private players like Medanta are likely to become even more dominant.
Seems that way. And private hospitals are projected to add over 30,000 beds in the next 5 years.
Wow. And a lot of that in non-metro areas, you said.
Yeah, that trend continues. Plus, a growing focus on preventive care and more public-private partnerships.
So it's a picture of a really dynamic, expanding market overall. Lots of opportunity for companies that are well-positioned.
Precisely. Which brings us nicely to Medanta's financials. The report dives into the numbers, right?
It does. Let's take a quick look. Quarterly 1st June 2024, sales were 861 crore.
Okay, how does that compare?
Shows pretty consistent growth, actually, going back to June 2022 when it was around 617 crore. So steady upward trend.
Yeah, profit.
Operating profit at 186 crore. Net profit, 106 crore. EPS, earnings per share, was 3.96. Seems solid for the quarter.
All right, what about the longer view, the yearly numbers, trailing 12 months maybe?
Yeah, TTM, sales hit 3,350 crore. And that's more than double what it was back in March 2018, which was around 1,343 crore.
Doubled sales in about 6 years. That's strong.
Very strong. Operating profit, 794 crore now, way up from 125 crore back then.
Significant growth there, too.
And the net profit figure is pretty remarkable, 482 crore now, compared to just 33 crore in March 2018.
Wait, from 33 crore to 482 crore, that's like a 14-fold increase.
Yeah, roughly. It really shows how their strategy has paid off on the bottom line over the long term. EPS is 17.97 on a TTM basis.
Okay, that yearly growth trajectory is seriously impressive. What about the balance sheet? Does it look healthy?
Seems pretty strong as of March 2024. Share capital is 54 crore. Reserves have grown a lot, now at 2,852 crore.
Strong reserves, good sign. Debt levels.
Borrowing is at 832 crore, which is actually down from its peak, so they seem to be managing debt.
Okay, reducing leverage. And assets.
Fixed assets are up 2,237 crore, which makes sense given all the expansion and investment we talked about.
Right, reflects the ongoing capacity building. What about who owns the shares? The shareholding pattern.
As of June 2024, the promoters hold about 33%. That seems stable.
Okay. Institutions?
FIIs, foreign institutional investors, hold nearly 13%, and that stake has been increasing.
Interesting. Increasing foreign confidence. DIIs.
Domestic institutional investors are at about 10.6%, and their holding has bounced back recently.
So institutional interest seems solid, maybe growing.
Yeah. And then public shareholding is about 7.4%, and HNIs, high net worth individuals, hold a big chunk, 36%. So if you add it up, the major stakeholders, promoters, institutions, HNIs, they hold over 92% of the company.
Wow, over 92% held by these core groups. That suggests pretty strong conviction among the big investors, doesn't it?
Seems that way. Now, the report also gets into the technicals, the stock chart analysis.
Oh, okay. What's the take there?
Well, they say the stock's been trading in a range recently, between roughly 1061 and 1486.
Range bound. Okay.
But they see this as a potential buy opportunity. They point out historical support at these levels and times when the stock bounced when its PE ratio got near 55.
And how does its PE compare now?
Currently, it's lower than some peers, like Apollo, Max, Fortis are maybe in the 70-100 PE range, while Medanta is around 57.5.
So potentially undervalued relative to competitors based on earnings.
That seems to be the argument. The all-time high was 1514 back in Feb 2024. Their target price is 1486.30, which was the highest closing price.
Okay, and what kind of upside does that represent from where it is now?
Well, based on the price mentioned in the report, 132.30, that target implies a potential upside of nearly 44%.
44% upside potential. That's significant.
It is. So the technical analysis, combined with the lower PE, leads them to suggest it's a buy.
Right. And they actually summarized their reasoning into 10 points, didn't they? Kind of a quick takeaway list.
They did. It's a good summary of everything we've covered, really. Want to run through them quickly?
Yeah, let's recap those key reasons to buy.
Okay, number 1, robust market presence in North and East India. 2, significant expansion happening, Delhi NCR, Mumbai.
3, commitment to high-quality care and innovation. 4, boosting bed capacity to meet demand. Makes sense.
5, positioned to benefit from that growing Indian healthcare market, the 10-12% CAGR.
Okay.
6, positive market trends, overall awareness, government action, medical tourism.
7, that strong yearly revenue growth doubling in 6 years. 8, solid financials, good market cap, low debt to equity, decent returns.
9, stable and increasing institutional shareholding. And 10, the technical chart pattern suggesting that range-bound strategy with potential upside.
Yeah, that wraps it up nicely. Covers the strategy, the market, the financials, the technicals, a compelling case presented in the report.
Definitely. So bringing it all together for you, our listener, Medanta really comes across as a company with pretty strong fundamentals.
Yeah, and a clear strategy for growth. It's expanding its footprint, improving its services, all within this healthcare sector in India that's clearly booming.
The V. Spartans report certainly paints a positive picture. Good current performance and, well, significant potential flagged for the future.
Indeed. That potential upside figure, nearly 44%, is definitely something to chew on. Warrants maybe a closer look at Medanta's numbers and the whole Indian healthcare space.
Absolutely. And maybe that leaves us with a final thought to ponder. You know, as India puts more and more focus on building up its healthcare infrastructure, making care more accessible,
Yeah.
what kind of role will companies like Medanta ultimately play in shaping the nation's health over the next decade or so? And maybe more interestingly, what unexpected things could pop up? Things that might speed up their growth or, potentially throw a wrench in the works.
That's a great question. The predictable trends are one thing, but the unexpected factors. That's always where the real story unfolds, isn't it?
Exactly. Something to think about. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.